What's going on, people? Welcome back to an opposition preview as we look ahead to the game on Saturday against Everton. I'm joined by Connor from the Toffee Blues channel to look ahead to the game and get all the insight ahead of it as well. And let us know your comments in the comment section down below as well. What's your thoughts? How are you feeling ahead of the game? Score predictions as well. Let us know. Connor, Palace Everton. Last time we was there, it was exciting. For you guys anyways, and it was a bit of a dramatic event, let's just say that. But this time around, this season, under Frank Lampard, you're currently sitting 15th. Of course, that could potentially change depending on earlier kickoffs and all of the other craziness that's going on in the Premier League. There's so many games coming thick and fast. But what have you made of your season so far now that Lampard has been there for nearly a year?
It's been interesting. It started off well. The loss against Chelsea, weirdly, it wasn't awful. It was the core had gone into the back of a player, so it wasn't the worst defeat we'd ever took. And then we had a couple of draws, a couple of good draws as well. Liverpool in the derby should have won that, could have won that. Cody had an goal ruled offside, and Moipai had one of the best chances ever and just hit it straight at the keeper.
That sounds so great. Honestly, it could have happened to a nicer guy. But sorry,
everybody says this. Everybody, I've done it with Arsenal fans, and they absolutely hate him as well.
Yeah, exactly. You got a very nice guy under your belts.
Yeah, but like I said, it wasn't awful. The results were, I mean, if you'd offered me a derby draw at the start of the season, I'd have bit your hand off. Watching the game, I came out of it a bit like infuriated. But then we drew some other games. We drew against Leeds, Brentford, Nottingham Forest, and then beat West Ham and Southampton. And then we've just had a tough run of games. United was tough. The players just didn't turn up for that. Tottenham was tough. They were just better than us in brutal honesty. And then Newcastle, one of the worst I've seen us play, worse than United. One shot, wasn't even on target for the whole game. And I didn't think Newcastle actually played that well. I just thought we were that rubbish. Like, I didn't see enough from them to suggest they were great. Isaac was missing for them, so Maxim was missing. They weren't, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they're rubbish, but they weren't that great. It's not like I can say they beat us because they're the better team. We were just absolutely rubbish.
So has this been like a build-up of bad performance? In the last three games, you have lost against decent opponents. I know you're saying that Newcastle weren't that great, but so far this season they have got the points and they're sitting in the top half and they're actually not that far off top four, which sounds crazy. But has this been like a build-up of bad performances?
I mean, yeah, the United one was just, they didn't look like, I mean, the saying not at the races is probably the most acceptable one to say. The Tottenham they were just better than us. They've got the quality to be better than us. I think maybe the honeymoon of the start of the season was over, and now it's sort of setting in that it is going to be another tough season for us. I'm not too sure how we went the whole game with only one shot yesterday. That wasn't just, it wasn't just a devastating loss. That's an awful performance behind it as well. We played Calvert-Lewin, who didn't look fit, not fit enough for the 75 minutes he played. He probably needs a couple more cameo appearances. I don't know. I don't want to say that like it's bad performances because that makes it sound like the rails are about to come off us, and I don't think we're quite there yet. I think the problem is we lack creativity. Iwobi's probably our most creative player, but you can't depend on one man to do all that. The wingers, I don't think, contribute enough. I just don't think the team's built for the way we're trying to play, which is Calvert-Lewin get some crosses in. Damari Gray's not a great crosser of the ball. He's more of an inside forward. Anthony Gordon it works hard, but again, not a good crosser of the ball. Our best crosser, probably out wide, is Dwight McNeil, who's on the bench. So it's sort of just, I don't think puzzles have clicked at Everton, but we do lack creativity. We are going to struggle going forward. We're just hoping we can shut up shop a bit more at the back, which we are doing. We're a lot more defensively stable, but we seem a little bit like bottom half heavy now.
So, what are your expectations under Frank Lampard? Because, as I've said, he's had a bit of a time last season. He kept you guys up, and now you're going into this season. I'm sure that you expect a bit more than just staying up.
Yeah, I said at the start of the season, 10th or 12th would be a good result. That was before the window. And then we had the window because that's where I thought the team last season should have been finishing. I think we had the standard to finish there anyway.
Yeah,
So straight off the bat, I was like, we should be finishing there because that's how good they were. Obviously, players left, players came in. I'm still saying 10th or 12th. I think that's an all right position for us. It's miles away from the danger. It's not going to set anybody's heart alight. I don't think we've got a good cup run in us either. I think we've got to run until we play one of the top boys, the top six, and then we're out. Um, but I don't think it's unawful. It's building blocks. You can finish there. I think the problem with Everton is we're waiting for that new stadium. We are waiting and waiting for that new stadium,
get
and
built. It shouldn't take too long now.
no, it's progressing really well, but it's still a couple of seasons away, and that
Oh, is it? I didn't
yeah, I
realize that.
think
I thought
it's
it might be done at the end of this season.
2025.
Oh
I think
wow.
it's 2025 to be honest, but again, we're treading the water. And Lampard's still a novice as well. This is something that doesn't get spoken about as much, I don't think. But in the same way as Steven Gerrard struggling in the Premier League, 'cause he's still a novice of this.
Mm.
So is Frank Lampard. Gerrard managed Rangers in Scotland, did a good job, but they are the second best team in that league behind Celtic. Frank Lampard did an all right job at Derby. Chelsea went a bit, basically a better man came along at Chelsea and Tuchel. Um, so this is the one where he needs to, really push on, but he's still learning. He's still learning. I think there's a massive difference between being a great player and a great manager. Not many players seem to go that were great managers seem to go into go into management and replicate that. Thierry Henry, for example, Steven Gerrard. You could argue now maybe Frank Lampard. They're not there yet, but he's still a novice. There's a lot to learn.
Yeah. So talking about managers and talking about all the greats that you've listed, you forgot to mention Patrick Vieira. What do you think about him as a manager?
Well, I said because they don't replicate very well, and then thought it'd be very, very harsh to then just drop him in the middle of it on your channel. Um, I mean, before Crystal Palace, I'd have definitely included him. I think his run at Nice was
Yeah, he's with New
awful.
York, then Nice. Yep.
Yeah, I think what you are now is maybe what Frank Lampard sees us as is the team where you sort of got a not last chance saloon, but this is your chance to get at a club that'll be stable, they'll keep you, and sort of make your mark on football now, make your statement. And from what I've seen so far, I like it. I like it. It's better than watching Roy Hodgson's Crystal Palace
Oh,
easily.
yeah, exactly. We don't, trust me. I think majority would agree, even though there are some peoples that still don't like us when we mention Roy Hodgson in that light. But you said it yourself. I didn't say it, so don't blame me. But yeah, it is
Yeah,
better. That's fact. It is better than Roy Hodgson football.
and you've got really good players as well that are allowed to express themselves. I'm pretty sure we'll mention players a bit more, but there's a good handful of Crystal Palace players that are just attacking wise are just too good to be sort of restrained by stay by the halfway line, stop the attack mentality. But yeah, so I like Vieira. I think this is his chance though to really make a statement of who he is as a manager.
Yeah. So in terms of players, let's talk about them now. So in the Palace side of things, let's start off with that. Who are you most worried about? Because before it used to just be Wilfried Zaha that every time would get mentioned. But if I was to tell you mention someone other than Zaha, who would it be?
Elise, Elise, I think he's brilliant to watch. I think he moves really well with the ball. He almost glides, and he's got this close. It reminds me, obviously, he's got more pace, but he reminds me a bit of Jack Grealish, where that close dribbling is just
Mm,
really good. And the only way you're going to get the ball off him is to end up, giving a foul away, kicking
yeah.
behind him. So he's one. Edouard as well. I was really gutted when you guys got him. I think we were linked last summer, just didn't happen. So I was a bit gutted when you guys got him. I think they're two really good players, and like you mentioned on our channel, Eze as well is another young talent. A bit like Elise, got really good ball control. Just to hold, like obviously they're not as strong as, so they're not the holder type with the back, but they use their bodies so well, and they can move with pace as well. It's hard to find players who can dribble with pace. You know, think like the likes of Saint Maxim who managed to move with control and pace. So yeah, they're the ones that worry me.
So who should we be worried about? Because you mentioned that you didn't have a great game against Newcastle, and some of the players that have been performing this season didn't perform in that game. But if you take away the Newcastle game, and if you look at your season as a whole, who's been the main players that's been very good for you guys?
I mean, statistically, some people might say Anthony Gordon, but the last couple of games, I've not seen anywhere near enough from him to even say he's a danger. Works hard, but that's about it. Um, a fully fit Calvert Lewin, would hands down be my favourite. But after watching him the other day, he was lucky to stay on the pitch, giving away silly fouls. I'm gonna say it just because you hate him that much, and he's that type of player where this is the game he'll do it. I think Neil Moipai, because and I said this before, he's not a gets 15 goals a season type of player, which for a striker doesn't sound great, but he's like a moment striker. So people remember the chip against Arsenal, for example, when he was at Brighton. And I just feel like the animosity, the sort of his Brighton links, I feel like that might be the moment for him.
I think you've lost a few friends now. You had some people on board talking about Elise Eze like that. Then you had to mention him, and now it's on you. It's on you. You didn't have to do it, but you done it yourself. Now, but look, he's going to be up for it. He is. We know what type of guy he is. We've seen at Brighton, and I'm pretty sure he will try to do similar things at Everton as well, and try to give it to you. This time there won't be a family stand. He gave it to the family stand before. It'll be at your ground, so we'll see who he gives it to, anyways. But yeah, look, I think it's going to be an exciting game. I feel like the midfield is where the game can be won and lost for both sides, especially with Cheick Doucouré being out. But in terms of actually about this game, how confident are you?
I'm pretty confident. I've got. I mean, other than the Newcastle result, I'd say I'm pretty confident the Newcastle result sort of took the wind out of sails. So you're catching me sort of at that time where I'm like, I'm only just getting over saying we're rubbish. Spent the last 24 hours just going, we are rubbish.
Yeah, it
Um,
happens. It happens to us as well. And then you get one win, you're like, oh yeah, you know what? We're doing well.
Yeah, exactly. I was at the gym before when my Everton father, I was like, you know what, we're rubbish, and I bet everyone's thinking it. Like, I've just got over that sort of mentality
Yeah.
of it. Um, I think it's going to be a tough game. I really do. Last season, obviously, I think the moment and the momentous occasion took us at the last game of the season, and it was do or die for us. But then when you look at the other two games, you beat us both. Obviously, they were both at your ground, but still, you beat us emphatically. It wasn't, I think it was 4-0 and 3-1, was it in the league?
Yeah,
Something like
I
that.
remember the 4-0. The league game was a bit earlier on. But yeah, 3-1 does sound right.
Yeah, so they're not like it's not like you beat us 1-0 or 2-1. You'd emphatically beat us. There's no arguing, the case. And you can't say anything about refs or VAR or penalties or whatever. Not that I think any of them happened, but you can't because
Oh,
you
Frank
lost by more
Lampard.
than
Oh,
one.
wait, let's stop there because Lampard talked about in a 4-0 win. He talked about, I remember there was a video out there. Oh, they scored a fluke goal, and then it was another fluke goal, and then he said they scored from a corner. I mean, he, based on him, we scored a lot of fluke goals where we beat you 4-0. So I'm not too sure if you would have thought that would have been a 4-0 game, but for me, I don't know, maybe I'm biased, but I don't think there were that many fluky goals to beat you guys. But in terms of score predictions in this game, how are you feeling? And what do you think is going to happen? Because when you look at you guys, if you don't win this game, being stuck in 15th and maybe even dropping down a few levels, and then you're losing what? You lost 3 games in a row already. It will be your fourth defeat. And if you draw, it might be still some sour taste because you're playing at home. Do you think, are you positive that you can get a result?
I mean, I'm hoping my head thinks it'll be a draw, but I'm hoping we'll be able to snatch a 1-0 win. I don't think we're going to come out and I'm not going to say we're going to beat you 2-0 or 3-0 because I don't think we will. We've not got that creativity in the squad for one. I can't see us winning many games like that. But I think maybe 1-0, my heart says we could pinch, but probably I think we're going to draw or lose. That is always the option, but it hurts to say that. So.
Yeah, look, I said it as well on your channel for the preview. After this, make sure to check it out as well. I went on to talk about the Palace perspective on the game, but I said it. My heart says like a 2-1 Palace win, but without Decore, I'm not too sure. It could be a 1-0 as well. As you said, we have had some good results against you guys, but the last time we beat you at Goodison Park, 2014, nearly 10 years ago. Of course, we want to change that. Maybe that would have been changed last season if it wasn't for the emotions at the ground and how big of an occasion it was. But now that now that you guys are stayed up and it's a new season and we're 10 games in, I feel like it'll be the usual Palace and the usual Everton that we see. And I feel like we could get a result, but I'm not too sure how we would react without Cheick Decore. But, I have to back my boys. I'm going to say 2-1, but it could also be a draw as well. But look, thank you for coming on, Connor. Make sure to check out the Toffee Blues, where I've jumped on there to give my perspective on the game, and check out all the great content Everton fan channel. Thank you to you guys for watching. If you have enjoyed it, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to not miss out on future Palace content, and let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. But that's it from me and Connor, and until next time, up the Palace.